it's Miss Stilwell and Hudson and Mowgli. And we are here for the last reading of the Jungle Book. So they're probably not going to cooperate this entire reading, but we can do our best and see how they do. We had left off with the muskrats versus the snakes in our last reading, so we're going to see who wins in that battle of conniving characters. Let's see. I will kill the big man and his wife and the child if I can, Nag replied. Ricky's eyes glowed red in the darkness, and he was filled with anger as Nag's head came in through the pipe. But as he watched the 5 long feet of Nag's cobra body appear, Ricky felt a moment of fear. Nag raised his head, and Ricky could see the snake's glittering eyes. Nag took a long drink from the big water jug that was used to fill the bath. I will catch the big man off guard when he comes in to bathe in the morning, he said, in a low hiss. Nagaina, do you hear me? I shall wait here until daytime. Nagaina did not reply, so Rikki Tikki knew that she had gone away. He watched as Nag slowly coiled and coiled his long body around the bottom of the water jar. Not moving a muscle, Rikki waited. An hour later, Rikki moved slowly and silently toward the water jug. In the dark stillness, he studied the sleeping cobra and decided he must bite Nag on the head, just above his great hood. If he missed his mark or let go before his bite went deep enough, it would mean bad things for Rikki. Rikki jumped and landed on Nag's head, sinking his teeth into the snake's flesh as far as he could. At once, Nag was awake and furious, lashing his body around the bathroom with tremendous force. Rikki was banged against the floor, the bathtub, and the walls until he was sure he would be banged to death. But his eyes flamed red, and he did not let go. Boom! The noise echoed like thunder in Ricky's ears. A hot wind blew over him, and fire singed his fur. The big man had fired 2 shots at the cobra, just behind the hood. Rikki closed his eyes, sure he was dead. But it was Nag who did not move. And then the man picked Rikki up. It's the mongoose again, Alice, he said. The little chap has saved our lives now. The men petted Rikki and carried him to Teddy's bedroom, where Rikki spent the rest of the night licking his battered body, checking to see if it was as broken as it felt. But it wasn't. In the morning, Rikki was stiff and sore, but quite pleased with himself. But he knew that his work was not finished. I still have Nagaina to take care of, and she will be worse than 5 nags, he said to himself. And then, of course, there are the eggs she spoke of, which will hatch into cobras too. I must go and see Darzee. Not waiting for breakfast, Rikki went to the garden, to the thorn bush where Darzee had made his nest. The tailor bird was singing a victory song at the top of his lungs, celebrating the news of Nag's death. You foolish tuft of feathers, Rikki said, a little bit annoyed. Didn't Darzee realize this was serious business? You're safe enough up there in your nest, but it's war for me down here. Stop singing a minute. I will stop for the great and beautiful Rikki, the bird replied. What is it, O killer of the terrible Nag? Great Rikki Tikki with the white teeth? Where is Nagaina? Rikki asked, trying not to sound impatient. On the garbage heap by the stables, mourning for Nag, Darzee replied. And do you know where she keeps her eggs? Rikki said. In the melon bed, on the end nearest the wall, where it is sunny all day. Darzee looked at Rikki sadly. But Rikki, you are not going to eat her eggs, are you? For Darzee was a foolish bird who did not realize that cobra eggs hatch and grow up to be dangerous cobras. But his wife, a sensible bird, knew this to be true. She flew off to the garbage heap to distract Nagaina so that Rikki could dispose of the cobra eggs. Oh, my wing is broken, cried Darzee's wife, fluttering over Nagaina's head. Nagaina slithered along the dusty ground toward Darzee's wife. You warned Rikki Tikki yesterday when I was about to kill him, she hissed. And now you've chosen a bad place to be lame. The boy in the house threw a stone and broke my wing, Darzee's wife cried, sounding desperate. Though you'll soon be dead, it may be a consolation to you that tonight the boy will lie still forever. Little fool, look at me. Darzee's wife knew better than to do that, for a bird who looks into a snake's eyes gets so frightened that it cannot move. So instead, she fluttered on just above the ground, moaning about her pretend broken wing. Meanwhile, Riki hurried to the melon patch, where he found 25 whitish cobra eggs nearly ready to hatch. Working quickly, Riki bit off the top of each egg, taking care to crush the cobra inside. I am not a day too soon, he told himself. The snakes were about to hatch, and as soon as they did, they would be able to kill both a mongoose and a man. Riki had crushed all but 3 of the unhatched cobra eggs when he heard Darzy's wife scream. Riki, she shouted. I led Nagaina toward the house and she has gone onto the veranda. Come quickly! She means killing. Riki smashed 2 of the remaining 3 eggs and picked up the 3rd one in his mouth. Then he ran toward the veranda, where Teddy and his parents were having breakfast. But instead of eating, they sat stock still, their faces white as sheets. Nagaina was coiled at the base of Teddy's chair, swaying her head to and fro and crooning a song of triumph. Keep very still, you 3, she hissed. I am not ready yet. If you move, I strike. If you do not move, I strike. You foolish people who killed my nag. Teddy stared hard at his father, but did not move. Nagaina, Riki called behind him. Go look at your eggs in the melon bed. The big snake turned halfway around and saw the egg in front of Riki on the veranda. Aha! She cried. Give it to me! Riki's eyes glowed red as he put his paws on either side of the egg. What price for an egg? For a young cobra? For the last one? The very last of the brood? The ants are already eating your other children down in the melon bed. Nagaina spun around, forgetting all about Teddy and his parents. Quick as a flash, Teddy's father grabbed Teddy by the shoulder and pulled him to safety. It was I who killed Nag, Riki said proudly, for I bit him on the head, and though he tried to throw me off, I held tight. Come then, Nagaina, come and fight with me. Nagaina knew that she had lost her opportunity to kill Teddy, and also saw her egg between Riki's paws. Give me the egg, Riki Tiki, Nagaina said. Give me the last of my eggs and I will leave and never come back. That is right, Riki replied. You will go away and never come back, because you are going to the garbage heap with Nag. Furious, Nagaina gathered herself together and struck, missing Riki by inches. Riki bounded all around her, his eyes like little red coals. She came at him again and again, missing each time. But Riki was moving farther and farther away from the egg, while Nagaina was getting closer. Finally, Nagaina lunged and caught the egg in her mouth. Then, flying like an arrow, she tore down the path toward the hole. Riki was fast on her heels. He knew that he had to catch her, or the trouble would begin all over again. But a cobra fleeing for her life is very fast indeed. As Nagaina and Riki approached the thorn bush, Riki could hear Darzy still singing his song of triumph. But his wife was smarter and swooped down to distract the escaping cobra. Lowering her hood, Nagaina paused for less than a second and raced on. But that half a second was all Riki needed to inch closer, and as the cobra slithered into her hole, Riki locked his teeth around her tail and followed her in, sticking his feet out to slow her progress. But it was deathly dark in the hole, and Riki did not know when the narrow passageway would open into a chamber and give Nagaina room to turn and strike. Outside, the grass above the cobra hole stopped waving, and Darzy and his wife looked sorrowfully at the spot where Riki had disappeared. For though a mongoose occasionally followed a cobra into its hole, it almost never came out again. It is all over for Riki Tiki, Darzy sang mournfully. Valiant Riki Tiki is dead, for Nagaina will certainly kill him underground. He sang and sang, making up the words as he went along. And just as he got to the most sentimental part of the song, the grass above the cobra hole quivered again, and a very dirty Riki Tiki Tabi emerged, licking his whiskers. It's all over, Riki said, tired but full of pride. Nagaina will never come out again. And without another word, he curled up in the grass and went to sleep, for though it was still morning, he had already done a hard day's work. Much later, when Riki woke, he asked Darzy to spread the news that Nagaina was dead. Soon, birds were singing and frogs were croaking for joy all over the garden. That night, Riki dined with his human family, eating until he could eat no more. Then he went to bed on Teddy's shoulder, curling up into a ball of fur and sleeping the whole night through. And from that day on, there was never again a cobra in the garden of the big bungalow in Sogawili, India. I'm kind of sad that the end of our book has come because now we won't have any more daily posts. But maybe I'll try to find another book that we can continue on because it seems like we're going to be home for a little bit longer. All right, Hudson, do you want to come here and say your goodbyes? Come here. Come here, Huds. Mowgli, come here. Mowgli, come. Hi. Come say goodbye. We read this whole story for you. Oh, and there you are. All right, goodbye, everybody. Thanks for following along with the story of the Jungle Book with us. Bye. The grass above the Crowbrook hole quivered again. It's playtime.
Okay, nobody else.
I can't stop laughing.
Stampede in the jungle, Max.
Stampede. I can't stop laughing.
Mowgli. No. I'd like them to be shown as a jungle. No. Mowgli.
This is why we don't film here.